Hey, hello guys, welcome to GS Blogs. In today's video, I'm going to talk about Spring Security and Azure B2C integration. In my last video, I covered the Azure B2B Flow, but here I'm going to cover B2C Flow. Let's say you have a requirement to integrate external service provider or external basically authorization provider. Let's say you want to integrate GitHub or uh, Google or Facebook, or let's say you want to integrate social logins in your project. For that, there's another flow in Azure that's called Azure B2C. Now, to do that, we have to follow four of the steps. So first, we need to create Azure B2C tenant. So B2C tenants are different from the normal tenant, which I've used in B2B. So for these will be different. We need to create one tenant. Second step will be covering to register the app registration, and we also covered this step in the B2B flow as well. So we'll be registering few of the apps which we'll be using in our application, and we need to configure or let's say reuse the custom identity provider. I'll talk about it later. And third step, we will be creating one user flow. Okay, and the final one will be integrating all the pieces together. We'll create Spring Boot app and integrate with B2C flow. Now let's move ahead and create one Azure B2C tenant. Open portal.azure.com. You should land on the dining resource. Search for Azure Active Directory B2C. Okay. Once you get there, hit on create a new Azure AD B2C tenant. Okay, so now you need to set the organization name. For me, I'm setting GS Blogs. Initial domain, it will be GS Blogs, so it will become like gsblogs.onmicrosoft.com. Select the country here. Okay, this is my configurations. Hit create. Now the tenant has been created. There's additional step. Not actually on the free subscription. I'm on pay-as-you-go subscription. I need to link that tenant to my subscription and resource group. So I'm in the create tenant. Here you'll get one link, an existing Azure AD tenant. Here I'll choose the B2C tenant. Okay, JS blocks subscription pay as you go. There's no existing, also create new, put JS blocks group. Resource group location, let's keep it East US. Now hit create. Once this has been created, then it's time to create or register the application. And before that, we'll switch to the new created tenant. Okay, it's currently in deployment in progress. Okay, this deployed. Now let's switch directly from here. Okay, I'm getting it from here. Go to resource. Okay, it's open now. Now first register application. I'll go register applications, app registrations, and create new registration. Okay, name is GS Blogs Web App. and account in my any organization directory. Okay, we need to configure one redirect URI. So it needs URI. Redirect URI must start with HTTPS. So I'll start with Microsoft based jwt.ms and grant admin all the consent to open ID and offline access permission. Now hit register. Once the app has been registered, we need to create or configure IDP. Okay, the application has been created. Now let's move ahead and register one IDP. Go back to the AzureAD B2C and hit your identity provider. You can use these pre-existing IDP. One is Facebook, GitHub, Google. So the steps are very simple. Steps are already mentioned there. You need to create one application on the let's say Google and provide the ID, secrets, and name here. So I'll start with the GitHub. Okay, we need to create one uh, application, OAuth2 application on the GitHub side. Let's go here and settings, developer settings, OAuth apps, and create one with the name, let's say Azure B2C app. Homepage URL as this one and callback URL as this one. Create it. The application is registered. Copy this client ID. You need to provide the name here. Let's say GitHub B2c Flow. Put the client ID here and get the secret from here and put the secret here. Hit save. Okay, the IDP is configured. Now let's move ahead and start configuring the user's flow. Choose this user flow from here. I'll choose sign up and sign in. Use the version recommended. It by default provides the multi-factor authentication, but if you're not want to go ahead with MFA, then you can choose the standard one. Apart from this, recommended one also gets the latest security features. So let's move ahead with this one. Start creating this one. Choose the name, let's say JS blogs underscore GitHub. Now choose the GitHub flow. You can choose more than one flow. So how you want to verify the user? So I'll choose email based verification and choose the attributes. So collect attributes are the attributes which you want to collect from user at a time of registration. Let's say you want to collect the display name, and these will be returned in the JWT token claim. Let's say I want to return email addresses. We also want to collect the email address if it's not there, and identity provider name and user's object ID. Let's hit OK, then create. Okay, once it's created, the good thing is you can test it here, but before testing you need to configure a few things. Just go back to your registrations and configure secret. I'll add this JS blogs secret. I've added it for 1 year. Just copy this one before. Okay, you have copied this one, and now go back to your authentication. Go to authentication and enable access token just to run the flow. So this is we are enabling implicit grant. Go to users flow again, hit this one and hit run user flow. Okay, so he should be redirected to the, so this is my account. I'll authorize this one. Now we are being redirected to our app. Cool. So these are the This is the token which we got from the Microsoft. We are getting the user ID and emails, user emails, and this is my identity provider. I'm sorry, this is my policy name, this is my user flow name, and I should get the IDP name. So this is my IDP, github.com. Okay, let's configure all these in our code base. Okay, this is the application I have created. In build.gradle, I have used the dependencies. Now let's go ahead and create the map. I create one class chrome.js blocks dot AzureAD B2C application. This is my main application class, and Spring Boot application, and use this one. Application dot run application dot class logs. Okay, first thing I'll configure the application YAML file. So first, now I'll create application YAML file here. Okay, and now configure security. I need to use client registration, and I'll call it B2c GitHub. I'll configure it later. I'll configure provider here, B2c GitHub provider. Okay, so here I need to configure a few of the properties. I'll use B2c provider. This is my B2c GitHub provider. Let's start and configure the provider. For configuration, we need to provide few URLs. First is authorization URI, which is basically we will get it from, go to your app registration, and you'll see the endpoints here, and this is your authorization URL. Just configure this one. Other one is token URI. The same you will get it from here. Third one is JWK set URI. This is basically used for to validate the JWT token. It's not here, but we can get it from this well-known configuration. We can open this one, and this one requires the policy name. Policy name will be your user flow name. Just go to your user flow, and this is your policy name, basically B2C1 and JS blocks underscore GitHub. Replace this with the policy name, and you should get the URL. So this is your JWKS set URI. Copy this one and paste it here, and in similar way just replace this with these placeholder. Okay, now this is done. Now configure the registration. We have already set the provider to B2C GitHub. We need to set client ID, which we will get from, so I can configure it with the environment variable, but I'll pick it from my app registration. I'll go here, this was my app registration, and copy this one, client ID. I need client secret, which I have already copied in my Sublime. Copy this one, and I also need authorization grant type, which I'll use authorization underscore code. Next one is redirect URI. I'm using Spring Security OAuth2 based standard redirect URI. which is basically base URL slash login slash we need OAuth2 slash code slash registration ID. So in our case, registration ID is client registration ID, which is B2C GitHub. Okay, next, the final thing is scope. We'll provide scope here and we'll put scope to OpenID. Okay, that's it. Now let's start and create few classes. First is my controller, home controller. Okay, this will be a REST controller, and I'll create one method. This will return type of map. Okay, home, and just I'll return map of name as JS blogs. Okay, and this is get mapping. This is done. Now I need to configure Spring Security. Create security config, and I'll extend with send web security configurator adapter. I'll mark this configuration and enable web security. I need to override one method, which is basically configure. I'll configure this HTTP security. So HTTP authorize request dot end method OAuth2. This is for my authorization, and the other one is for my login token, basically token URI. I'll provide permit all here, and any request is authenticated, and OAuth2 and OAuth2 login. That's enough, I guess. And okay, just one more thing. We need to configure the redirect URL. So earlier when we created the app, we have configured it to jwt.ms. Now we'll have to change that. So this is my web app, and this is the URL. I'll change this to https jsblogs.com slash login slash OAuth2 slash code slash my registration ID is this one. So this is the same URL which I've used right here. Okay, it's done. Now save it. This is saved, and I have already configured HTTPS on my local. I'm running NGX server, so I'll be using this local jsblogs.com. Let's run the app. Just before that, I'll put the server, and I'll use forward header strategy to native, so that header forward is based on my Nginx based header forwarding strategy. Now this is done. Security config is done. Home controller is done. Let's start and run the application. Looks good to me. Okay, let's wait while our application turns up. Okay, so yep, I got the response. I think I forgot to add git mapping. Okay, this will be my slash localhost. Oh, sorry, not localhost. HTTPS jsblogs.com slash okay. Oops, invalid token response. Okay, I was expecting this one. This will come because from Microsoft we are not getting the standard OAuth2 based response. Not the OAuth2, but whatever Spring Security was expecting, we are not getting that kind of response. Let's check there. Open OAuth to access token response. Yeah, this converter, and I'll I'll put a debug point here and I'll debug this one. I'll show you. So basically what Spring Security is expecting, the response will come like it is expecting access token in there, token type, expires in, and these fields is expecting. But what actually is Spring Security is getting there is, let's check this one. Okay, yep, I got this. So I'm getting this ID token, token type, not before. I might be missing something in the configuration. If you guys know, then do let me know in the comments. But for me, how I fixed this one, let me show you. So what I did, I override this configuration, and I provided one token endpoint dot access token response client. So it was expecting one this this object, this implementation of this class. So what I did, I provided this one. Okay, so it's checking the operation grunt request. Okay, and this the token response. Okay, so what I did is like this one, and inside this I returned the created default authorization code token response client, new default client. So this, for this one we need to set REST operations. So I created one method, REST operations. It will return REST template basically, REST operations, and return the this client, right? So here, sorry, dot the token response authorization ground request. Okay, so here what I did, REST template. So I took the similar code from here. So here there was one REST template. I used the same one, and I override this one as well. Converter equals to new OAuth2 access token converter, and I've passed this converter here. Okay, return this template from here. Now here I need to pass one set token response converter. This one accepts one instance of converter. So I'll create the object of this one, private get converter, get converter, and let's start defining the converter. I'm using lambda expression here, so I know this accepts map, and it should return the auth access over response. I'll use builder here dot with token map dot get. You know this token is coming in the ID token key dot build. I'll also use few other parameters like token type. I know this is going to be bearer, so I'm using directly bearer, but you can add a check there. Scopes set of map dot get scope, and expires in long dot parse long map dot get. So there was a key called not before for. Okay, these are the fields, and one additional field which is required by the framework, that's ID token. Now this is inside the ID token key, I think, yep, that should work. Let's check it out. Yes. Yep, I got the response back. So this is how I've fixed this problem. If you have any comments regarding the solution, then you can add your thoughts on the comment section.